Narrative Nonfiction, Level E, Lesson 28. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to recognize the characteristics of narrative nonfiction, recognize the purpose of text structure, identify a text's central idea and supporting evidence. What you should know before doing this lesson. Narrative nonfiction reads like a story but gives facts and information about a topic. Personal narratives, biographies, and autobiographies are types of narrative nonfiction. Narrative nonfiction is organized in chronological order with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Introduction. All narrative nonfiction text gives facts and information about a topic. This genre uses a story-like format to tell about real people, places, and events. In narrative nonfiction, writers bring personal experiences and events to life in a way readers can connect with. In this personal narrative, the writer focuses on one event in his life. The writer is a real person, and he's telling about a real experience he had. Let's read paragraph 1 of Afternoon Storm. Have you ever thought about how you would react in an emergency? My name is Scott Tucker. I'm a 12-year-old kid, and until one recent hot July afternoon, I had never given much thought to emergencies. A tornado would soon change that. Remember that narrative nonfiction contains facts. What fact do we learn about Scott? He's 12 years old. When do the events in this narrative take place? A hot July afternoon. Where do the events take place? At Scott's home. Let's read paragraph 2. The morning started out bright and sunny, not a cloud in the sky. Mom left for work, but not before going through her list of do this, don't do that. It pretty much all came down to two things. Keep your little brother safe and don't wreck the house. What does Mom tell Scott to do? Take care of his brother and not wreck the house. These facts can help us understand more about Scott's experiences. Listen for details that indicate that people, places, and events are real. Listen for ways the narrative sounds like a story. Afternoon Storm. Have you ever thought about how you would react in an emergency? My name is Scott Tucker. I'm a 12-year-old kid, and until one recent hot July afternoon, I had never given much thought to emergencies. A tornado would soon change that. The morning started out bright and sunny, not a cloud in the sky. Mom left for work, but not before going through her list of do this, don't do that. It pretty much all came down to two things. Keep your little brother safe and don't wreck the house. After breakfast, I helped Caleb build towers in the backyard. It is one of his favorite things to do. He is great at stacking things. One tower was made up of cans of beans, tuna, tomatoes, and chicken soup that he had hauled out from the kitchen. It was so tall I had to pick him up to help him put the last can on top. At noon, we went inside to make lunch. As we sat at the table munching our sandwiches, we heard a noise. Was that thunder? Caleb asked. I knew that my 6-year-old brother hated storms. I decided to act cool so he would stay calm. It's no big deal, I said. Just a rumble. But here's some good news. If it rains, we won't have to water Mom's flower garden later. Caleb smiled, but he looked worried. As it turned out, I was right. That first storm was no big deal, just a rumble or two and some rain. But about an hour later, everything changed. Caleb and I were watching a movie when the electricity went out. I looked out the window and saw that the sky had turned dark. Fat drops of rain began to splat against the sidewalk. Caleb stuck by my side as we went to the kitchen and turned on the weather radio. When it crackled on, I breathed a sigh of relief that the batteries were still good. I checked the cell phone Mom left for us to use in case of an emergency. I saw that she had called, but I guess we didn't hear the phone ring because of the movie. I tried calling her back, but I saw that we had no service. Okay, I thought, I can handle this. As I turned the dial on the weather radio, I spoke to Caleb. Listen, buddy, we're going to be fine. Suddenly, a tornado warning signal blasted over the radio. We were told to go to a storm shelter, a basement, or a room away from windows. For us, that was the bathroom. Mom told me once that our shower stall was the safest place during a storm. Caleb wasn't crying yet, but I could tell he wanted to. He was looking to me to keep him safe. This is what we're going to do, I said. First, grab the cushions from the sofa and take them to the bathroom. I'm going to get a flashlight and the weather radio. Then we're going to sit in the shower until the storm passes. After that, we'll come out and play some games. Got it? Caleb nodded. In the bathroom, we crawled into the shower stall and sat under the cushions. In a few minutes, we could hear the wind blowing harder. Hey, you want to hear a joke? I asked, hoping that silly jokes would keep Caleb's mind off what might be happening outside. Maybe it would keep my mind off it, too. In the middle of a knock-knock joke, we heard a crash outside. It's okay, I said. Remember, we're safe here in the bathroom. We are in a cushion fort. This made Caleb laugh. After 15 minutes or so, everything seemed to get quiet. It was probably safe to go out, but I thought we should wait a while longer. Then we heard our mom's voice. Boys, where are you? Are you okay? After we told Mom we were safe, she began to check the house for storm damage. The house was fine, but the backyard was a mess. A tree had blown down across the patio. As we looked at the tangle of broken limbs, Mom put her arm around my shoulder. I'm proud of you, she said. You handled everything so well today. Thanks, Mom, I said. It felt good to hear her say that. It felt good, too, to know that deep inside I was someone who could be counted on, even in an emergency. Practice 1. Recognize characteristics of narrative nonfiction. There are different types of narrative nonfiction. Personal narratives, biographies, and autobiographies are types of narrative nonfiction. Personal narratives focus on one event in a person's life. Biographies tell the story of someone's life. Autobiographies are written by a person to tell about his or her own life. All types of narrative nonfiction share two important characteristics. Narrative nonfiction tells about real people, places, and events. Narrative nonfiction has the structure of a story. It includes a beginning, a middle, and an ending. What characteristics of narrative nonfiction do we see in this excerpt? We know it is told by a real person about a real event. The beginning sounds like a story. Fiction authors include character details to help us understand their actions. In a personal narrative, narrators include details to help you understand their experience. What details help you understand the kind of person Scott is? Scott watches his brother while their mom goes to work. He cares about his brother because he describes helping Caleb build a tower. Practice 2. Identify chronological text structure. Structure helps readers better understand the events in narrative nonfiction. A chronological text structure uses time order or the sequence of events to tell what happens in a narrative. Do the boys go in to make lunch before or after they hear thunder? How do you know? The text tells us, at noon they make lunch, then they hear thunder. When does the electricity go out? How do you know? The text says, about an hour after the first storm. Narrative nonfiction has a beginning, a middle, and an ending. The beginning introduces the subject, and the ending concludes the action. The middle tells about the different events that occur. When these events are written in chronological order, we can understand what happened and when. Why is it important to know when the thunder first happened? This is when we learn Caleb is afraid of storms. Clue words can help readers understand the order of events in a text. Look at the highlighted words in the excerpt. These clue words help you know when different events happen. How does an hour later help you understand the sequence of events? It explains that the storm became much worse an hour after the first storm passed through. Practice 3. Determine central idea and supporting evidence. Narrative writing usually contains a central idea or a main message the writer wants to share with readers. To support and strengthen the central idea, writers provide supporting evidence. In a personal narrative, the central idea is often a statement about a lesson the writer learns or realizes. Look at the highlighted text in paragraph 16. What does the narrator's mom mean when she says Scott handled everything so well? She means he took the right actions to make sure he and Caleb were safe. What does Scott realize about himself? He realizes he is someone who can be counted on. How do Scott's mom's words support this central idea? Her words support the central idea by showing she realizes Scott did a great job during the storm. This information helps us figure out the central idea of this narrative nonfiction. Let's review the concepts from this lesson. Narrative nonfiction gives facts and information and reads like a story. The purpose of a narrative nonfiction is to tell information in the form of a personal narrative, biography, or autobiography. Narrative nonfiction writers have a central idea they want to share with readers and use supporting evidence to strengthen the central idea. Narrative nonfiction is organized in chronological text structure. Assignment number 1. Reread paragraph 11 below. Identify 3 things Scott says he and Caleb will do. Put them in chronological order. Look for clue words. First, then, after that. Number 2. Restate the writer's central idea in your own words. List at least 2 examples of supporting evidence. When you finish, show your teacher your hard work. Bring the completed paper to the next Zoom class or take a picture and upload it onto Canvas.